Most people see junk. We see potential. In this video, we'll transform old tires, paint cans, and barrels into beautiful, practical garden pieces. Perfect for tiny spaces. You're watching Nailed It Now, where waste becomes wonder. Have questions? Drop them in the comments. Disclaimer: all visuals are AI generated for inspiration only. Feel free to recreate using what you already have. Subscribe message versus Syncat. This isn't just content. It's built with heart. Every like, every comment, every subscribe helps keep a small dream alive. Thanks for being here. Thanks for seeing me. In a quiet corner of a tiny backyard, something extraordinary is blooming. Not just flowers, but hope, creativity, and the soft revival of forgotten things. An old car tire, once headed for a landfill, now cradles a burst of life. Its surface is lovingly painted in mint green and coral pink, softened by time and sunlight. Nestled inside, marigolds glow like small suns, petunias sway in a breeze, and geraniums add a touch of timeless charm. Around it, smooth white pebbles form a gentle frame, while butterflies occasionally dance between the petals as if paying tribute to this unexpected beauty. What once rolled across concrete now rests on gravel, reborn as a cradle for color and joy. And the magic is you can do this too, in spaces small or grand. Even a single tire can become a statement piece, a symbol that we can shape beauty from the discarded. You don't need a lot of land, just a little love, a brush of paint, a handful of soil, and the will to see beyond what things were into what they could be. This is not just upcycling. This is storytelling, told in petals, in color, in the quiet defiance of waste transformed into wonder. So, next time you see an old tire lying forgotten, imagine this: a bloom, a fragrance, a corner of your garden glowing with life. You don't need permission to begin, just vision in your own two hands. Sometimes, beauty doesn't need to grow wide. It only needs to grow up in the quiet corner of a small patio or backyard wall, where sunlight gently brushes against old wood or faded brick. A vertical garden awakens, not with fancy pots or expensive planters, but with what once held leftover paint, now transformed into vessels of life and purpose. Each paint is reborn with soft pastel colors, some hand-painted with simple floral patterns, each holding more than just soil. Inside, herbs reach the sky: basil, mint, rosemary, each leaf vibrant and full of promise. Others cradle leafy greens, or even cheerful blossoms like pansies and tiny daisies, overflowing slightly as if they couldn't contain their joy. A ladder leans gently against the wall, its rungs adorned with cans that sway softly in the breeze, suspended by thick twine. Or maybe a wooden fence becomes a canvas, holding rows of these colorful containers like living artwork. There's something quietly powerful about seeing food and flowers grow in what others might throw away. No sprawling garden beds, no need for expensive materials, just a few old cans, a bit of paint, some potting soil, and a little care. This is a kind of garden that listens, one that grows with you, vertically, slowly, patiently. Perfect for balconies, small patios, or even the narrowest side yard. And perhaps, in creating it, you'll find that you planted more than herbs. You planted intention. You planted hope. Because when we choose to see beyond the label, even a painting can hold life. There's something deeply comforting about creating a space that invites rest, a corner not just for sitting, but for breathing, for pausing, for watching the light change throughout the day. Here, in the heart of a small patio or tucked beneath a garden pergola, an old drum, once noisy and industrial, is reborn into a quiet companion. Split lengthwise, softened by smooth wooden slats and painted in earthy shades like olive green or terracotta, it becomes a bench that feels both grounded and gentle. It doesn't ask for much, just a little vision, a saw, a brush, a cushion or two, and in return, it gives you a seat that holds not only your weight, but your stories. The drum becomes a cradle for evening tea, late morning journals, quiet talks with friends, or simply a place to close your eyes and listen to birdsong. The best part? You can build it yourself. You don't need a large yard. You don't need expensive materials. You only need the willingness to see possibility in what others have forgotten. Maybe add a few potted herbs nearby. Maybe string up some lights above it. Let the air move through. Let the garden grow around it. This isn't just furniture. It's memory waiting to happen. And somehow, the hands that built it matter just as much as the place it stands. Because in this small act of creation, in this drum-turned bench, you're making more than a seat. You're making room for rest, for warmth, and for the kind of beauty that doesn't shout but quietly stays. Every fence tells a story, and sometimes that story is one of transformation. Instead of bare boards or blank brick, imagine a wall alive with color and bloom, where old tires hang like circular frames of nature. What once rolled down highways now cradles life in stillness. Soft petals, trailing vines, fragrant herbs, and buzzing bees all weaving themselves into a new purpose. Each tire, once black and forgotten, is now a canvas. Painted in sky blue, sunflower yellow, coral orange, they hang gently against wooden fences or sunlit brick, filled with marigolds, ivy, or lavender that spills outward like joy too full to contain. And the beauty of it? You don't need a large garden. You don't need much at all. Just a wall, just a tire, just a little care. You can hang them with sturdy rope or hooks. Fill them with good soil. Choose plants that suit your climate, and let the light do the rest. Use them in patterns, in colors, in rhythms, like a garden mural that grows and changes with the seasons. In small spaces, vertical ideas like this become a kind of poetry, where gravity becomes your garden bed, and every bloom whispers, "You made me." So next time you pass an old tire, pause for a second. Imagine not what it was, but what it could be, and maybe, just maybe, your fence can begin to tell a story too. One of renewal, one of color, one that begins not with buying something new, but with giving something old a chance to bloom again. In a quiet corner of the backyard, life grows tall and fruitful, not in ceramic pots or fancy raised beds, but inside an old barrel, weathered and worn, now cradling something deeply nourishing. The transformation is simple, yet powerful. A plastic drum, perhaps once used for storage or transport, now holds rich, dark soil, warmed daily by the sun. From the soil rise tall tomato vines, reaching confidently upward, their green stems thick with strength, their leaves whispering in the breeze. Clusters of red fruit dangle heavily, almost touching the rim of the barrel. Like jewels ripened by care, sunlight, and time. It is a garden of intention, a space reclaimed, a rhythm of growth within the curves of what was once discarded. If you've never tried growing your own tomatoes, this is an invitation. You don't need farmland, just a barrel, some soil, a handful of seeds or seedlings, and a bit of patience. Add a trellis or some wooden stake for support. Water when the soil is thirsty. And watch the green vines twist and climb, offering flowers first and then fruit. Tomatoes thrive when given warmth, good drainage, and a little love. And barrels, whether metal, plastic, or painted in your favorite color. Give them all that, while saving space and giving your small yard a rustic charm that feels both functional and alive. Around the base, you might add basil or marigolds as companions, not only to help deter pests, but to bring fragrance and color into the mix. Because in a small garden, every detail matters. Every inch can sing. And the harvest? It tastes sweeter when you watch it grow from nearly nothing, especially when it grows from something the world once threw away. Not every garden begins with soil. Sometimes it starts with something no one wanted, like an old trash can, faded and forgotten. But here in the corner of a small patio, painted in cheerful colors like turquoise, orange, and lime, these repurposed bins now hold something vibrant, life, growth, and nourishment. Lettuce spills over the edges in soft waves of green. Chilies hang like bright ornaments. Tomatoes ripen under the warmth of morning light, while eggplants peek out in rich shades of purple. The transformation feels joyful, not just because it's useful, but because it reminds us that even the most unlikely objects can carry beauty when given a second chance. If your space is limited and your budget modest, this might be your perfect beginning. Old trash bins, whether plastic or metal, can be easily cleaned, drilled for drainage, and painted with whatever color lifts your spirit. Fill them with well-draining soil, compost if you have it, and choose compact or bushy vegetable varieties that thrive in containers. These bins become mini raised beds, perfect for patios, balconies, or even narrow side yards where traditional gardening might not be possible. Add companion plants around the base, marigold to keep pests away, or basil to sweeten the scent. And the result? A space that feeds you with food, with pride, and with the quiet joy of knowing you made it happen. So next time you see a bin ready for the curb, imagine instead a harvest. Not trash, but tomatoes. Not clutter, but kale. Because in the right hands, even a trash can become a cradle for something worth growing. In a world that often rushes forward, there's something profoundly grounding about planting your own food, especially when the containers that hold it once held nothing but paint and possibility. Here, in the quiet rhythm of a small backyard or narrow patio, old paint buckets find new life. Washed clean, repainted in soft pastels or cheerful tones, they become miniature raised garden beds, not grand but deeply personal. Inside them, leafy greens stretch toward the sun. Spinach, kale, pak choi, all swaying gently in the breeze. Their roots find home in rich soil, their leaves wide and full, promising harvest small but meaningful. What makes this setup special isn't just its charm, though the colors, the order, the handwritten tags surely make it feel like a storybook scene. It's the truth behind it, that you can grow what you eat even when space is scarce, that you don't need a plot of land, only the will to begin. These buckets, stacked or lined neatly along a fence or gravel path, can hold more than just vegetables. They hold proof that life can sprout in unexpected places, that something forgotten in a garage can be touched by sunlight again. If you try this yourself, remember, good drainage is key. Drill a few holes at the bottom. Choose crops that thrive in containers: herbs, leafy greens, shallow-rooted vegetables. Water them often. Talk to them if you like. Plants seem to grow better when loved. And as they grow, you'll feel it too. That quiet joy of having made something with your own hands. That peace, watching something edible rise from something ordinary. Because sometimes the most beautiful gardens don't grow in the ground. They grow from whatever you dare to believe still had purpose. In the quiet hum of garden, nothing soothes quite like the sound of water, not crashing or roaring, but trickling gently, like a whisper shared only with the wind. And here in the heart of a small patio or nestled beneath climbing vines, an old barrel breathes again, not with fire or storage, but with calm. Reclaimed wood or worn metal, once part of another story, now becomes a vessel for stillness. A bamboo spout drips steadily, feeding lily-covered water. Or perhaps a copper pipe sends ripples dancing across polished river stones. It doesn't take much to make something beautiful. A barrel, half full. A pump, easy to find. Some stones, maybe a few fish or floating blooms. The setup is simple, but the effect lingers, an anchor for the space, a rhythm that slows the heart and reminds us we're allowed to pause. In small gardens or tiny patios, water features like these add more than sound. They invite life. Birds come closer. Butterflies rest nearby. And you, perhaps with a cup of tea in hand, will sit just a little longer. Choose your materials based on what speaks to you. A wine barrel with lilies. A painted drum with a stone cascade. A tin basin with bamboo and moss. Whatever you use, make it your own. And remember, this isn't just about design. It's about creating a pocket of peace. A reminder that even in the busiest of lives, we can carve out corners of stillness. Because when we bring water into our gardens, we're not just building a feature. We're making space for rest, reflection, and quiet joy. There's something ancient and universal about gathering around a fire, a soft flicker in the fading light, the sound of crackling wood, the warmth that finds your skin even as the night air cools. In this tiny backyard, a simple metal drum becomes the heart of the evening. Once used to store oil or materials long forgotten, now it glows with purpose. The surface may still hold its rust, its imperfections, but that only adds to the charm. Cut open and repurposed, the drum cradles flame like a memory, offering light comfort and a place to pause. The fire dances inside it, framed by gravel underfoot, and a few old stools pull close. String lights hang above, but it's the firelight that brings the faces near to life. Golden, calm, reflective. A place to roast marshmallows, to sip something warm, to talk softly, or simply sit in silence with someone you love. And the beauty of this fire pit? It's fully handmade. With just a bit of creativity and a discarded drum, you can create your own oasis of warmth. Ensure safety with proper ventilation and non-flammable surroundings. Add brick or gravel below, and your small outdoor space becomes something timeless. You don't need a large garden or fancy setup. You just need a spark and something willing to hold it, because a fire pit isn't only about heat. It's about presence, about slowing down, about watching the skies shift above you while the flames sway below. In the quiet hum of night, your backyard becomes more than a space. It becomes a story, one you can sit beside night after night. Not all gardens stretch wide across the earth. Some grow upward, layer by layer, in the most unexpected places. In this simple tower of worn-out tires, once destined for scrap, a different kind of life begins. Painted in soft pastels or left with their natural patina, the tires are stacked with intention, each holding a tier of green or red when the strawberries are ripe. From the sides, vines tumble out like little waterfalls of growth. Ripe strawberries peek shyly beneath leaves, and herbs like basil, oregano, or mint spill their fragrance into the air, even with the slightest breeze. This is gardening made possible, even when space is not. And that's what makes this project so inviting. You don't need a large backyard. You don't need to spend much. Just 3 or 4 old tires, stacked with care, filled with healthy soil. Create openings along the sides to let your plants breathe and grow outward. Choose crops that love vertical space, strawberries for their trailing fruit, or herbs for their clustered charm. The beauty lies not just in how it looks, but in how it changes the rhythm of your space. A tower like this becomes more than just a vertical garden. It becomes a living sculpture, a small landmark of sustainability, a reminder that food and fragrance can grow even from things the world has thrown away. And when you pick that first sun-warmed strawberry or snip a handful of herbs for dinner, there's a quiet joy that follows, the kind that only comes from growing something with your own hands. Because here, in this tower made from old rubber and new hope, you've planted more than just seeds. You've planted the belief that beauty can rise, even in the smallest of places. In a quiet corner of the garden, where form meets function, a barrel once used for wine or oil begins a new chapter, not as waste, but as a piece of living, breathing beauty. This is no ordinary bench. It holds memories. And now, it holds tools, gloves, maybe a folded blanket for cool evenings. But above that, it blooms. Set upon the lid is a shallow planter tray, overflowing with color. Petunias, geraniums, marigolds, their roots stretching down as if whispering secrets to the wood beneath them. The flowers crown the bench like nature's own decoration, while the structure itself offers a place to rest, to reflect, or simply watch the day pass by. Crafting something like this isn't about perfection. It's about purpose. A reclaimed barrel, cut carefully and stabilized, becomes a charming seat with storage tucked beneath. You can leave the wood raw or sand it smooth and stain it for warmth. Add hinges. Line the inside if you wish. And don't forget to drill small drainage holes if your flower top lives directly in the wood. This isn't just a project. It's a partnership between utility and joy. When you sit here, you're not just sitting on a bench. You're sitting inside a story, a reuse, a creation of something that used to be forgotten, now flowering. So if you have an old barrel, see beyond its shape, see the space it could hold, the blooms it could wear, the comfort it could offer. Because sometimes the most magical things grow not just in the soil, but in the spaces we choose to reimagine. Sometimes the most joyful gardens don't sit still, they sway. In a sunny backyard where laughter echoes and curiosity blooms, an old tire begins its second life. Painted in cheerful colors, yellow, sky blue, or soft pink, and suspended from a sturdy tree or pergola, it no longer rolls or rests. It hangs, it dances, and inside, something unexpected grows. Trailing petunias spill from the center. Ivy curls down the sides like green ribbon. Sometimes marigolds nestle deep inside, their warm colors catching the light just right. Or maybe basil and mint, brushing the air with gentle fragrance every time the swing moves in the breeze. This is where garden meets play. A DIY tire swing planter doesn't just bring beauty to a small yard. It adds movement. It invites interaction. Children tiptoe up with watering cans, eager to help. The swing becomes a story, part garden, part toy, part memory in the making. To make one is simple. Choose a used tire, clean it, paint it, drill drainage holes. Suspend it horizontally or at a playful angle. Fill the base with soil, choose trailing or low-root plants, and hang it where the sun visits often. And as it turns slowly in the wind, something changes, not just in the garden, but in how you feel when you see it. Because some projects do more than decorate. They delight. They remind us that growing doesn't have to be serious. That color, movement, and life belong together. So if you got an old tire and a little rope, don't just hang a swing. Hang a garden that moves with the wind and with your heart.